Andrew, I just want to say I'm incredibly grateful for this class. Ruthy got this for me as a Christmas gift. It was exactly what I needed after this crazy year of isolation to connect with all of you under Andrew, your leadership and wisdom and just your whole style of teaching is just so aligned with where I'm at as a person philosophically. And as I said, I think moving from appreciation to integration has been something I've been trying to figure out in my life. And this was just a massive part of the puzzle. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honored.
And all of you. And knowing that a lot of you live here in the Hudson Valley, even those folks who don't, just it's a really wonderful community. All right, so I did a real world design. This is our house in West Hurley, New York. We call it Humble Abode, the Humble Abode. Humble Abode Music is our record label. That's our studio above the garage on the right. The house is the house Ruthy grew up in. It was a one-story stone cottage that was just added onto over the decades. And just a year ago, that addition you see, the second story, was completed. It was perfect timing for quarantine year, having a little more space to spread out, but also to incorporate into this new design. Um, while we're looking at this picture, you can see we're on a slope to the right beyond the studio is a bluestone ridge, a lot of rocks in our soil and ground. Um, the front yard there is our brand new leach field. Um, and the focus of this design is going to be on the other side of the house, which faces south. Um, our neighbor, we've had sort of a contentious relationship over the years. He wanted to clear cut pretty much all the trees you see behind the house. Some are on his property, some are on ours. Eventually, and it's because he wants his view back of the reservoir, and I can't really fault him for that. But we like the privacy, we like the shade. Um, so we just said, you do what you want with your trees, we'll do what we need to with ours. And he ended up taking out some large trees right where those gaps are in the center, and that opened up the possibility for a lot more sunlight. And that with that new change in the landscape, it became evident that's where we should put our garden. So that's what we'll be getting to. Okay, can I? Huh. Here we are, ecoregion northeastern coastal zone. I grew up on the coast of New Hampshire, and I never really considered where I live now as a coastal zone. So I was sort of tickled to see I live in a coastal zone, grow zone 5B. Of course, there's the Hudson River to the right, Catskill Reservoir. We live where that little star is. 48 inches of rain annually average. Uh, Superfund, 78 out of 100, near a Superfund site, 14 miles. Air quality, 83 out of 100, seems pretty good. The US average, 58. I was definitely surprised to see that the water quality, 52 out of 100. And we live, you know, at the Ashokan Reservoir, and New York City touts it as, the champagne of waters, the cleanest water for any city in the world. And we're only at a 52 out of 100 average. Yeah, that was eye opening to me, but shouldn't be that surprising, right? Here's my kids did this drawing for a homeschool project with their grandparents. It's sort of the same outlay as that. They put some fish in there. I like that they added Chipotle over by the Hudson River on the right and Big Pink up in the upper right corner because they are musician kids. Right, and there's the reservoir. Oh my goodness. This is just a 10-minute walk through the woods for us. And it's been a real sanctuary for me this year. You can see all the stone and rock just under the soil. So our goals here, enjoy organic, nutrient-dense food. I've become a lot more aware and educated about the degradation of our food system as a musician who's been on the road 20 years. I've eaten so much garbage, partly by necessity, partly by default. We try to always hit a Whole Foods whenever possible, but you get into certain parts of the country, it's just not an option. Ruthy is a champion Yelper. We can always find something pretty delicious, but organic and nutrient dense, not so much. Create food independence for family, friends, and neighbors, certainly something to aspire to. Support ecological biodiversity. Align with philosophy regarding sustainability, reciprocity, regenerative practices. Incorporate this into our homeschool curriculum and instill these principles and knowledge into our kids, next generation, and always aspiring for energy independence. Uh, the wood stove is something I've cherished for my whole life, really. I grew up with wood stove in the house, but this is the first year I've actually been able to heat my house with pretty much just the wood stove because of the addition and the improved insulation. So that's been very gratifying. And I just started cooking on it a week ago. It's like, why did it take me this long to realize that I could cook on this stove? So that's been great and sort of a product of this class, really. Here's my design. You can see our house, because it was added onto over so many years, it has like 4 separate different roof structures. So it's a
Nice water analysis. That's great.
thank you. And what we're trying to figure out, and I welcome people's thoughts. Andrew, you really hammered home this idea of one large water tank, which makes a lot of sense. But with all our roof structures, we thought we could go for as many as 4 smaller ones.
Oh,
Water,
not
yeah,
necessarily one large, just lots of them and larger.
airing towards large side. Okay, that's great to know. Um, so you can see where the arrows go. That's pointing downhill. Our neighbor did a number on the drainage ditch on the bottom property line, which increased the flow such that the lowland where I put that future pond has become increasingly soggy. So we look forward to actually developing that into a viable pond. It's down by the road, and we thought we could create even a little farm stand, community table, resting area for joggers and bikers and passerbys, tourists. It's a big leaf peeping road, and you can see across the street there is a designated pull-off area and a designated path down to the Ashokan Reservoir.
Just
Um,
more information. You got 4 minutes.
okay, cool. I'll try and move along.
You're
We're
doing
got all
fine.
ambitious ideas. Bees down in that lower meadow. That meadow is actually our neighbor's property on the north side, but it'd be a great spot for bees. It was when Ruthie was a kid. Fruit and nut trees along the driveway. There's a lot of water that naturally travels down the culvert on the side of the driveway. Again, the septic leach field was just put in. Had I known, I definitely would have gone for a biodigester, um, but took the class 1 year too late. But along the driveway, I thought fruit and nut trees. Across the driveway, you can see we want to inoculate some mushroom logs behind the forsythia where it's nice and shady. And then I guess the main feature of our design is this new garden. It's facing south. I picked up that living fence idea from another presentation as I was scanning through that Andrew provided. So the new garden. Um, There's my side view. I screwed up and put the sink on the wrong place. We got that off of Craigslist for 25 bucks, that little sink. It should be on the right side so it can drain downhill. There's our 2 water catchment vessels. Um, these are some of the foods we like to eat. We're going to opt for raised beds because, like I said, the ground is so rocky. I would like to know, we've done some research on these galvanized steel alu zinc coating beds. If you have an opinion on those, I mean, I hear aluminum and I sort of recoil, but some people seem to think they're okay. We're going to use repurposed cedar posts as our fence posts that came out of the ceiling of our living room during the renovation. Feel good about that. Um, Berries and grapes that are already sort of volunteering along the edge on the east side there, kind of foster more growth for them. Uh, Tempted to buy this greenhouse. I don't know. Found it on Facebook Marketplace. You can see right there. That's where I would plop it against the house. It's a stone facade, so I don't know if it'll actually make sense if we need to do something custom, but let me know what you think. It's in Pennsylvania, outside of Philly. It's sort of cool looking. It's actually the perfect size for our footprint. Here's like some gutter analysis, how it could work. Um, right. And then, like I said, just to wrap it up here, recent observations and Permi-inspired changes in behavior. Started cooking on the wood stove. This is the first year I've been able to heat the house with just the wood stove. If I lived here alone, I probably would not need any other heat source, but sometimes the propane does kick on a particularly cold night. We did get mini splits in the renovation. Those are super efficient. But anyway, cooking on the wood stove has been so fun, and I just started doing it a few days ago. There's the cedar posts up in the ceiling from the old living room. That ceiling was removed when we got the second story, so it's a nice high ceiling. That's Woody Guthrie above the wood stove there. Um, that's a repurposed table from our garage to make a little elevated platform for water. There's Opal drinking from our one sugar maple. Ruthy carved that spile out of sumac, I believe, and we tapped our first tree this year. Uh, that thing fills up several times a day. It's been really fun boiling that down. Boiling that down on the wood stove is what gave me the idea that I should start cooking there. Opal loves to forge, and again, not being on the road this year, we really got to pay attention to what grows all around us when. And she loves to make garlic mustard pesto, and I know that she'll take advantage of that little farm stand table down by the road. Yeah, so farm stand table, resting area, gathering space down by that new pond potentially. Um, One sort of red flag is, and this is again shocking, but maybe it has to do with the 54 out of 100 water quality. The Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, that patrols the reservoir, they spray herbicide all around it, right across the road from us, which is just shocking to me. Um, these are the people who are their job is to protect this water, and they're spraying this horrible chemical. So obviously that has an impact not just on that land in the city, but us and air and water quality here. So we're going to look into that, contact local officials, neighbors, see if we can do something about that, provide some alternatives. I know Zach Bush has a whole website on alternative, you know, more organic approaches to that. So that's just the view from our front porch. That's where I want to plant the fruit trees along the edge of the driveway. There's us and our band up on the porch of the studio. And there's the view from the studio. You can see the Catskill Mountains on the western side. That's before the addition, this picture. But that's it, my guys. Thank you so much.
Nice job. Very nice. Really good drawings. You want to stop share so we
Yeah.
can
There we go.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, excellent job. So mine is really nice, thorough job of taking what are your own goals and objectives and thoughts about a place that you clearly have a lot of experience and history with, and taking the ideas you're learning in the class to really come up with some good practical solutions that I think fit a lot of your, what your goals are for the site. I really appreciated your articulation. It was really clear of how your goals drove the design, how permaculture informed the overall context of what you were doing, which was really strong, and I appreciated. I also really liked how you went from plan view to a detail of a subsection to a detail within that detail, which was really nice. That's a really great way to both think through for yourself all the kind of parameters of a concept and say, well, this concept broadly works. Now, this concept works for a specific element of the design, being the garden off of the building area. And then now it works when I zoom it in on the actual garden itself. And so that was really nice. I appreciated the side view drawing. I do think that greenhouse, if the price is right on it, as I saw Chris say in the chat, looks pretty solid. Those are nice. I like the metal frame. I like the glass. Questions for your, in logistics would be transport to your site. Are you going to have to pick it up? Is the seller willing to deliver? What are they going to charge you if they are? And then assemblage, being sure that you do have a good, because they are a real kit that goes all together. So I really appreciated the design thinking. I love the way you took the principles, applied them to the site. I like the way you didn't get too lost in any details, but showed us a good pattern design, and really appreciate the different scales. Really nice job.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Yeah, excellent.